investments are securities, and the folks who are selling them or getting commissions or other forms of transaction-based compensation are not registered as broker-dealers. And those are how I would think about these cases in those two broad categories from our perspective. Our first case was brought in February 2013. That was an offering fraud. And the first unregistered broker-dealer case we brought was back in, I want to say June or July of last year. And then at the end of last year, we brought an unregistered broker-dealer case against a handful of lawyers who are involved in the space. So, I mean, I think that gives a pretty good sense of what our interest is here. And I'll turn it over.
Ms. McLaughlin.
You know, it's actually very interesting at times when people have asked, you know, what is the role of the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board in this space? And for those of you who may not be familiar with the MSRB, we were created by Congress in 1975 to actually develop a fair and efficient and transparent municipal securities market. In fact, to write regulations for broker-dealers, and now also to write rules for municipal advisors. And when we think about the municipal securities market, essentially we're talking about infrastructure development in this country that's done on a tax-exempt basis. And that's building schools, housing development, other types of infrastructure projects such as toll roads and airports. And part of our role in this space is in part to ensure that investors in the EB-5 space, and should there be the issuance of municipal securities, in fact, that the rules for broker-dealers that are issuing those securities and for the investors who are buying those securities are the rules that are being followed. We are not an enforcement entity. We are, in fact, a policy rulemaking entity, and work closely with the SEC and FINRA to ensure that our rules are enforced. Another important function of the MSRB, in addition to writing rules for broker-dealers in the municipal space and municipal advisors, is also the operation of the transparency system, the MS system, which is their central repository for all municipal securities data and documents related to the municipal securities space. And so the space has continued to development. There have been some more we'll describe it as sort of innovative projects that have looked at providing EB-5 investor contributions as equity investments into those projects. Specifically here in the District of Columbia, there have been a few projects, the O Street Market, which is up the street from where we are sitting today. The Southwest Waterfront Development Project that's currently underway are also projects that have used EB-5 investment as well as issued municipal securities. And so those documents and those particular projects and the individuals that have operated or who participated in that space, that information is actually available on the MSRB's MS system. And as it relates to investor protection, one of our main focuses is to ensure that individuals that are investing in municipal securities the broker-dealers or the municipal advisors that are serving them are ensuring that they are meeting suitability obligations, that they are providing them, they're treating them fairly in the process, that they are following all the pricing rules, and that as it relates to disclosure obligations, that they're providing them with the requisite information to be able to make an informed decision. The MSRB continues to work with our enforcement partners as well as the marketplace to make sure that when their infrastructure projects that are being developed in where municipal securities are being issued, that those that are providing those professional services have the professional qualifications as well as have an understanding of our rules and expectations for those that are providing those particular products.
Ms. Kavita Jain.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to start off by just giving you all a little bit background about FINRA. For those who are not familiar with FINRA, FINRA essentially regulates the securities industry in the U.S. Every individual, every firm that works with or sells securities to investors in the U.S. Must be registered and licensed with FINRA. Firms that want to act in this space have to go through a formal membership application process and have to be approved by FINRA. Individuals have to take the appropriate required qualification exams and be licensed to do so. We, in addition to registration and licensing, we write rules. We examine firms on a regular basis, and we have enforcement authority where we see non-compliant behavior. In the EB-5 space, to the extent a broker-dealer is involved or a registered individual is involved in promoting EB-5 investments in whatever capacity, that falls within FINRA's jurisdiction. And we work very closely with other regulatory agencies here to coordinate and share information. We're a private sector organization. We're not a government agency, but we are overseen by the SEC, and as I mentioned, we work closely with the other regulators. So I will say I'm in the Office of Emerging Regulatory Issues. Our mandate really is to stay abreast of new and emerging developments in the industry. When I first learned about this program 5 years ago, I kind of brushed it off as an interesting visa program. A year later, probably about 4 years ago, I put together some guidance and training material for our internal staff. We started seeing a handful of broker-dealers involved in this space, and that's changed completely. Today we have probably about, at least I'm aware of probably about 60 to 80 firms involved in this space, and the number is growing increasingly. As the other panelists mentioned here, our mission really is investor protection and ensuring market integrity. We've noted EB-5 as a priority in our exam priorities letter last year and the year before that. And again, like Stephanie and Rita mentioned, EB-5 is unique in that it's an intersection of a visa program and an investment. But for FINRA, for our examiners, for our enforcement group, this is no different than any other private offering. Yes, it has some complexities, but we're used to, in our industry, new products, new offerings that are complex. We keep telling our firms and the registered individuals involved in this space that all securities laws, all FINRA rules apply to the extent that they're involved in promoting these offerings.
Thank you.